Hey guys, George here. Just wanted to share a quick message with you. One of my friends from India, my friend Aditya, he sent me an email and he said, engineering is my passion. It's what I'm so passionate about. It's what I love, and and I have these big dreams and ambitions for what I want to do with this. And but the thing is that I lack motivation and I lack inspiration, and I was wondering if you could help me out with that, provide some insight on how to get more motivated. And so I thought I would share this through my insight on this through a video because, well, number one, it's easier than writing out a message, and also number two, it's kind of a deep topic to dive into, and it's a lot to type. So I thought I could relay my message about this a lot easier just through a quick video. So first off, what I want to say is that motivation and inspiration is something that's really unique to all of us. It's something that's just internal. There's not really a magic pill for getting motivated and inspired. However, when you really break it down to the fundamentals, the science behind what human motivation really is, we are pain-avoiding, pleasure-seeking creatures. That is the ulterior motivation behind every single thing that we do. If we want to eat a piece of pizza, it's because that is going to create pleasure. We're not going to go jump off of the side of a building because that's going to cause pain. We're not going to go, do things that are scary a lot of times because that's what causes pain. And so we gravitate towards things that are going to cause pleasure and move away from things that are going to cause pain. So that being said, when you start to understand that, you can use those two states to be able to create motivation. Say, for example, in business or something like that, if you have a goal that you want to do, one thing that is commonly done is to create some sort of tangible reward at the end of it. To say, all right, you meet this sales quota and you get this prize at the end. You get this, bonus, this commission, this car, this trip, this whatever. And that's a reward, and it works really well. However, there actually is something that works even better than a pleasurable reward. And that is that of pain. Something that is going to create fear. The fear of loss. That is one of the greatest motivators of all. The fear of loss. And so some sort of pain can create motivation. Let me share with you some kind of examples. And I'll actually share with you an example of something in my own life and how I used this to help myself to really overcome something that was a big challenge of mine. But say, for example, Buster Douglas. Buster Douglas was the guy who beat Mike Tyson when Mike Tyson was undefeated. Nobody could touch him. Mike Tyson was an animal for a long time, and Buster Douglas was the first person ever to actually beat him. And when he went to fight him, Buster Douglas, the odds were like 45-1 that Mike Tyson was going to destroy him. And a couple of weeks before the fight, Buster Douglas's mother actually came over to Buster's house and talked to him and said, I want you to beat Mike Tyson's butt. That was one of her last dying wishes. And then not too long right after that, she died. So she died. That's what was one of her last dying wishes. She died. And so when Buster Douglas went into the fight with Mike Tyson, his mother had died before to not be able to see the fight. So when he went into the fight, he fought with a different kind of motivation. And that later was discovered in interviews and so forth with that. He was fighting because his mother's last dying wish was for him to beat Mike Tyson. And he'd only one shot at that. If he was to lose, then he was going to let down his mother, her last dying wish before she died, the only thing that she ever wanted from him before she died, and he was going to let that down. And so he kept getting back up every time he got knocked down until he finally beat him. And it wasn't because of the fame or the money or anything else, but it was that fear that if he lost, that he would let down his mother in her last dying wish. That's what drove him. Take, for example, you got to run from here to the end of the street, and they say, okay, we're gonna time you to see how fast you can get there, and if you can get there and if you can, you run down to the end of the street, you're gonna get $10,000. If you get there quick enough, you're gonna run pretty freaking fast, right, to get there. Now, say for example, there's a lion behind you, and this lion is hungry as heck and is gonna eat you, and all of a sudden they let that lion up, and if you don't get down to the end of the street quickly enough to escape, then you're going to get eaten, you're going to get killed. Well, who do you think's going to run faster? That person that's running from the $10,000 or that person that is running to save their life, to fend for their life? Obviously, the person that is running away from pain and from fear, that is the person that is going to run faster. Say, for example, the marathon. The first ever person who ever ran the marathon, this was in the times of like the Greeks and the Roman, and he ran 26 miles. Right after he ran 26 miles, he collapsed and died. But the reason why he ran those 26 miles is because he got notification that I believe it was the Romans or the Greeks were coming to get his, and I believe it was the Romans were coming to get the Greeks, and if he didn't get back there in time to notify his village and everything, and his town and his city, then they were going to literally kill and wipe out everybody he ever knew, his family, his friends, everybody he'd ever known in existence was going to be wiped out. And so he ran with everything that he had, because if he didn't get there, then he was literally going to die, and everybody else that he ever knew was die. So he ran so hard and so fast to get back and telling everybody in time that he died in the process, and that's when the marathon was created. That's how it is coined after 26 miles. So I'll say an example of how I use this in my own life. There was something that I wanted to accomplish this year, and I kept putting it off. Why? Because of fear. But it was interesting because I would always use these sort of incentives where if I did accomplish it, then I would, do this for myself, or I'd buy this. It would usually be something that I would buy. I'd say, okay, if I do this, what I wanted to do, then I was going to buy something. 9 months went by. September rolled around, and I still hadn't done it yet. And it was because that the reward of doing what I needed to do wasn't great enough. So finally, one day I looked at myself in the mirror and I said, if I don't do this, what I need to do today, then I'm not going to pick up my daughter today from daycare. And I know that sounds pretty harsh, but it was something that I could do. It wasn't like something that was out of the picture. It was something that I could easily do. It was just a matter of overcoming my fear and my own ego to do it. And so guess what happened? I did what I needed to do within 1 hour. I went out and I did it. And why? Because I had that fear that if I didn't do it, then all of a sudden my daughter would be heartbroken that her daddy didn't come that day to pick her up from daycare. And the daycare would have had to call her mom, and her mom would have been upset, and it would have broken the trust bond between me and my daughter. And that broke my heart just thinking about that. So that fear was much more powerful than the reward of buying something for myself or whatever else that I'd use in the past to try to incentivize myself. So, my friend Aditya, if you're having trouble with inspiration and motivation, it may be because you're too comfortable in your life, and it may be because you need to shake your life up. Do something to make your life more uncomfortable. Create fear and pain in your life, because maybe the reward of becoming rich, famous, and successful with whatever you want to do is not enough of a driving factor. That's just one little insight that I can share with you. If you can try both sides of the spectrum using a reward, but if not, try making your life more uncomfortable, shaking it up. For example, somebody, I guarantee you, if somebody wanted to lose weight and all they needed to do was go to the gym, 10 minutes a day, and they'd been putting off going to the gym, and all of a sudden you said, know what, if I don't lose, 5 pounds by the end of this month, then I'm not going to feed my kids dinner for like a week. And they're going to suffer from it. I guarantee you would probably find the time to go to the gym for 10 minutes a day and lose a couple pounds by the end of the month or whatever. It sounds kind of harsh, and it is harsh, but sometimes we need really harsh realities to be able to get us off our butt and to get us to do things that we really need to do. All within, you want to make them achievable though. You don't want to make the goal so far-fetched out there and then put some fear behind it that what'll happen is you'll end up being like a deer in headlights who all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, there's like, you just freeze because all of a sudden you said, by the end of this month I'm going to make $100,000. If not, then I'm going to kill myself. That's kind of ridiculous because, then you may end up just being like that deer in the headlights and not doing anything because you just blew it out of proportion. So you kind of want to do this strategically if you are going to do this in a sense to where you at least won't be setting yourself up for disappointment. So if you have any insight, you'd like to share any feedback about, times you've used fear or pain to achieve a goal or something like that, it'd be awesome to hear your feedback. I hope you're having a rocking week. Tomorrow's Friday. Let's crush it, guys. See ya.